Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to get this pastel colorful look using the Essence Fairy Wings and Magical Things palette, so if you'd like to see how I do this, just keep on watching. Okay, now I'm going first in with the shade Fairy On using the Wet n Wild blending brush, and I'm lightly dusting this into my crease, and then I'm going to be gradually building it up. One thing to mention about this palette is that it is pretty pastel, so if you do not like pastel colors, then I don't think this palette would be for you, but if you do, then I think that this would be right up your alley. The only downside I see to this palette, for the most part, is the one matte shade, which I'm using right here. It's just a pale pink, so you might have to reach for other palettes depending on what look you would want to accomplish with this palette.
Month ago I found you a world away, condensing the sky.
Next, I am taking the shade Ice Castle using a flat shadow brush from Wet n Wild, and I am not doing a cut crease look. I am just going to be placing this on the inner third of my lid. Now this shade applied really nicely with a brush. It was nice and metallic. The other two shades, you'll see how they apply with the brush later on.
You're just another cloud. Something inside me heard you say.
Now this shade is called Fireflies, and I am using the same brush. And now this one did not apply really well with the brush at all. And with this color, I thought it would be a little more yellow, but it ended up being like a little more of like an icy yellow, so it had like more of a white reflect to it, so you couldn't see the yellow as much.
Light in here can't compare to the light that shines from.
And of course I placed that on the center, and then for the outer corner, I'm using the shade It's Magic. Now this shade surprised me because while it did apply well with a brush, it was definitely a lot lighter than I expected as well. Like, these shades are like super pastel. Like, even when you look in the pan, you think they may not be as pastel as they look, but they do come off really pastel, which is kind of threw me for a loop, but then I still like the colors.
Your balcony, the sounds in here can't compare to the sound of your voice calling mine.
So now to soften all those colors into the crease, I just went in with the shade Fairy On one more time using my blending brush. And then, of course, I just went back and forth with the shimmer shades to make sure that they blended all together. And then after I did this, I was like, you know what, maybe the shades that disappointed me a little will actually apply better using my finger. So I did that with the shade Fireflies and the shade It's Magic, and they actually did go better on the eye. I mean, you probably can't tell as well on camera, but they did get a little more intense once I applied them with my finger and then blended them out. So I think with some of these shades, you just have to keep in mind that some of them may apply better with the finger and some may apply just fine with a brush. Some are more intense on the shimmer scale, some are a little less intense on the shimmer scale. You just kind of have to figure it out. And then using a different Wet n Wild flat shadow brush, I took the shade Fairy On and I ran that on my lower lash line. And then I took the shade Treasure Island on the same brush and I ran it even closer to my lower lash line. This one came out pretty pastel too, but then again, I only used it in a very thin line and just lightly dusted it on my lower lash line because since everything was so pastel, I didn't want it to be too bottom heavy. Then I just coated my top lashes only with the Essence Volume Stylist mascara because I didn't want the look to go too glam looking. I just wanted it to remain a little soft. My overall thoughts on this palette is for $10. I think it's a really nice little palette. I am going to be doing another tutorial for you guys using primarily the blues and maybe some of the pinks. So let me know if that is something you would like to see. Then for highlight, I went in with Vintage Cosmetics highlighter in the shade Rose Gold, using the Wet n Wild Unicorn highlighting brush, and just highlighted my cheekbones, cupid's bow, tip of my nose, bridge of my nose, blah blah blah. You've heard me said it 1,000 times if you have been on my channel for a while.
All I can do is watch the minutes take you.
And then finally for lips, I went in with the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit lipstick in the shade Berry Recognize.
Even though you can't bear the weight, I'm tied down to what I know isn't real.
And that completes this look. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you in my next one.
Is fate. Light in here can't compare